consumers really want to have a way to have not only a less expensive morning latte, save time, not sitting in that drive-through, but to have a healthier with less artificial ingredients. So we feel that we've really accomplished all those goals and really excited and proud that we just got into Target. So we have
Oh,
three
wow.
different flavors available at select Target stores. So if you go onto our website, skinnymixes.com, you can put in the store locator and help support us. We just got in. In fact, it probably just hit shelves last week, if not this week, depending on the store. So please support us. And yes, it's a good makeover to your morning routine and saves money, saves time, and of course saves calories.
Welcome to Nutrition Without Compromise, a podcast brought to you by Orlo Nutrition. We believe that nutrition shouldn't be an either or, that you should never have to sacrifice your morals for your health or that of our home planet. Join natural products veteran Corinna Bellizzi and experts from around the globe as they discuss healthy solutions that are better for you and better for the planet.
Welcome to another interview episode of Nutrition Without Compromise. I'm your host, Corinna Bellizzi, and our episode today is going to be one part interview and one part roundup from Natural Products Expo East 2022, which occurred a few weeks back in late September. I'll share with you some innovative new companies that I encountered and get our guest's input on what she sees happening in the natural and sustainable world of nutrition. I encountered today's guest as Natural Products Expo East approached, and I'd been invited to a special event in which I would get to showcase their products in Philadelphia at a Skinny Mixers cocktail reception. Now, these all natural mixers for the calorie conscious provide a better solution to those of us who enjoy a mixed drink, a healthier soda, and even flavored coffee drinks. Her name is Jordan Engelhardt, and she founded Skinny Mixes in 2009 in her mother's kitchen. She was determined to give her favorite cocktail mixes a healthier makeover. Skinny Mixes has since skyrocketed to global success, and its female-led team is innovating the beverage industry with better-for-you options. Today, Skinny Mixes offers a wide range of over 100 products, from flavor bursts for on-the-go use to all-natural margarita mixes, which might be my personal favorite, and so much more. They have been featured in Food and Beverage Magazine, BevNet, New York Post, and many, many more. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to finally have the opportunity to meet you face to face. Perhaps we're not enjoying a cocktail together, but I will tell you, your team sent me quite the package, and I had the opportunity to sample some. And I have a Taco Tuesday that I host here with my neighborhood, so we got to sample some of the different margarita mixes. I personally loved your spicy margarita mix. Wow.
Oh, that's my favorite too. Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, we were supposed to meet in person at Expo East, but you had to change your plans. Can you talk to us about why and the effect that that may have had on your overall Expo East experience?
Yes, sadly, we were all very excited to go to Expo East. We had planned a fun female founder happy hour where we had invited many other founders of companies, both big and small, founded by females who had had some success or were just starting out. So sadly, we got word that we were getting a hurricane, which happens from time to time in Florida, especially in September. So it made it very difficult to travel, especially because the hurricane was supposed to be a Category 5 and hit our region of Tampa Bay, where we're headquartered, on the exact day that the show was supposed to start. Luckily, we dodged the hurricane. Sadly, it hit Fort Myers and Naples and Captiva and Sanibel pretty badly, and the devastation is just unbelievable. It's amazing the damage that it has done. And anyway, sadly, we couldn't be at the show, but you never know with these storms. They're so big, and you don't know exactly where they're going up until sometimes 24 hours if we're lucky in advance, and sometimes a few hours. So
Mhm.
it's bittersweet because, like I said, we're glad it didn't hit our area, but super sad for the people south of us.
Well, and as we continue to cover topics on this show that relate to nutrition and health without compromising your ethics or the health of planet Earth, we're going to find more and more of these issues, sadly, are rising or storms that are worsening because of the climate change we're all experiencing. And so, if we can create more mindful products that perhaps use less sugar, which is expensive from a farming perspective to cultivate, it's energy expense, then I think we do a better job. One of the things that Isaac Berzin, who is co-founder of Vaxa Technologies makes Orlo Nutrition's omega-3s and our spirulina, right? He said quite simply in the podcast interview I just recorded with him a couple of weeks ago that we eat light. And so if you think about even all the sugar that you consume, all the calories that you consume, all the things that you consume, you're eating something that was once light. It was grown by photosynthesis, and then an animal may have eaten it, and right. And so even producing products like those that you've worked to create that retain fewer calories, you're actually eating lighter and a little bit greener. So that is perhaps a greener connection you might not have already kind of put together through your product, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on today, because a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie in some ways, but what you've worked to do by making something that is simple, I think is really, really great. So thank you.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I learned something new.
Yeah, that should be our goal every day, right? To continue moving that volley forward. See something more we have in common.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to just tell the story of how you got inspired to do this and what that early phase really looked like.
Sure, I'd love to. So I got started back in 2008, 2009. It was basically started out of my garage, out of my mother's kitchen originally, and there was a void in the market. There wasn't an easy way to have a low-calorie margarita. And so I took it upon myself and searched and couldn't find the right product. So partnered with a couple different food labs until my mother and I concocted just the right formulation.
Now, you're not using a ton of sugar. You're not using corn syrup. This is something that it really just has naturally, easily identifiable ingredients. I've got your standard margarita here in front of me. It says naturally sweetened, real lime and agave, which is the only way I like my margaritas, by the way. So you have white water, cane sugar. Honestly, I think that is a way better option for something like a margarita. Lime juice concentrate, organic agave nectar, citric acid, natural flavor, and then some natural preservatives as well as stevia. And so stevia is how you cut down on the amount of sugar you're using, of course, but it didn't have an aftertaste or anything like that that you might expect from some of the lower quality stevias that are on the marketplace. It was just really pleasant, not oversweet, kind of perfect. So, I mean, that's the feedback I got from my friends too. I'm not just saying my own personal opinion here. And I think it's part of why you've had this early success. I personally have tried to do my own kind of skinny mixes at home where a drop or two of stevia, a little bit of this, and agave lime juice, maybe substitute some Meyer lemon because they tend to be a little bit sweeter and less tart. But honestly, I think you did as well as anything I've concocted in my own little at-home experimental lab that's catered to my taste. So really great to see that in a finished product.
Well, I really appreciate that. That was definitely the goal. We worked very hard on this formulation, a lot of different variations, but it's not just about having the low calorie, but about having the natural taste and not having any of the artificial sweeteners and of course making it easier. It takes time to squeeze all those limes and squeeze the agave and to concoct that right
Tell me
margarita.
about it. Hosting a party where I made the decision specifically to only make from scratch margaritas. The next day, my hands were cracked from all the limes I handled because like literally the skin on the top of your fingers gets, hit by all that citric acid. And after a while, you actually see some damage to your skin. So making it much simpler for me. Now, one of the things that I wanted to connect with you on is the reality of working in this natural channel as a startup and ultimately doing so as a female founder, how did you find that you were accepted in the marketplace? Did it feel like you were received into warm arms? Did you run into challenges specifically as a female founder that you wanted to share with us?
It certainly wasn't easy. I mean, the startup phase in the first few years, you're often, looked at with pity a little bit, and, a little bit of you haven't made it yet, especially in the liquor industry, and they tend to gravitate towards the bigger brands and of course liquor, and and it's definitely a man's marketplace. The liquor industry is really dominated by men, so it was a little bit difficult. And we worked hard and continued to innovate and were accepted over time, but it certainly, we had to prove ourselves. And now I think being a female-led team and being largely female just makes us a little bit more unique and gives us a little bit more of an edge. And of course, females are primarily our audience. So, we have an easier time innovating, being that we are the audience.
Right. Well, I think that is on point, but still in today's world, something like 2% of all VC funds go to female-led companies. And so it can be really challenging when you're in this early build phase. And, now you've been featured in the New York Post. That's not a small publication. Obviously you've made some strides and you're come into the market with some success. So I think you deserve a pat on the back for that. Startup culture is never easy. Often people, when they start their brands like you had, in the back room, in the kitchen, and really trying to divine something that could be fantastic, you might be met with, oh, well, maybe you should just sell your formula to one of these big guys. But you haven't done that. It's not like this says Jose Cuervo on it, and certainly they would be a different company altogether in that realm. So kudos to you. Now, as we look at some of the other products that you've dove into, because you have an assortment of more than 100, which I didn't really understand when we first started this conversation. I was like, wow, okay, they have a lot. Salted caramel. This is something that can be easily used in coffee, or if I even just wanted to make kind of a spritzer or something to that effect. So you are making these 0-calorie products like this, specifically to replace some of the less healthy syrups that we might have. Like even those, if you go to a Starbucks and you say you want the 0-calorie vanilla added, that's artificially sweetened. I'm sure you know all about the ingredients in it. You could probably educate our audience. But in this one, you're using erythritol, which is actually also healthy for your teeth, protects your teeth, sea salt, natural flavors, cellulose, gum, stevia again, citric acid, and then some vegetable juices and natural preservatives. I mean, it's basic. Again,
Basic, yes.
Really clear, not scary nutrients that I would, run away from. So I wanted to know how you see these products entering the marketplace. Are they ending up at coffee bars and on the shelf there, or are they mostly used for a home product at this time?
They're mostly used for a home product at this time. Consumers really want to have a way to have not only a less expensive morning latte, save time, not sitting in that drive-through, but to have a healthier with less artificial ingredients. So we feel that we've really accomplished all those goals, and really excited and proud that we just got into Target. So we have 3 different flavors available at select Target stores. So if you go onto our website, skinnymixes.com, you can put in the store locator and help support us. We just got in fact, it probably just hit shelves last week, if not this week, depending on the store. So please support us. And yes, it's a good makeover to your morning routine, and saves money, saves time, and of course saves calories. It's amazing how many calories are in a Starbucks latte. It just absolutely makes me crazy to think these people and, good friends of mine that are so conscious of their diets are still going through the drive-through and having their 200, 300 calorie latte and just sabotaging their week. And sugar not only is caloric, but just not good for you in general,
Right. And we often, it's almost like we're taught to think of the beverages we consume as not food or somehow not caloric.
Right.
I don't think that's really an accident. Soda companies want you to go and buy more Coca-Cola. They want you to go to Starbucks, go through the drive-through, get your venti because it tastes so delicious, and enjoy a good whopping equivalent of having a 16-ounce soda at the same time. But you're thinking about it as a healthier option. Oh, it's just it's got, milk or whatever in there, but you're adding a lot of sugar. So I think that's really smart to start thinking of those things as caloric input, as part of our day. And as a liquid fanatic myself, I mean, I always have basically a cup of coffee or tea with me all day long. I drink water constantly. And, into my evenings too, I like to have a beverage on hand continually. And so trying to have better habits around that and actually look at it as a nutrition source or something that's not going to kind of ruin our diet, so to speak, and spike our blood sugar, et cetera, that it's a smart practice, especially as we have more and more people with, waistline issues or trying to battle the bulge, so to speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we offer products from day to night. We have cocktail mixes like we just spoke about, coffee syrups, and the syrups not only can be used in coffee, but they can be used in baking. They can be used in your plain yogurt, even water. We have a lot of different fruit flavors. So just adding a splash to whatever beverage you'd like to consume can really transform it and not add the calories.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a big trend right now to making virgin cocktails, even at a lot of the parties and such, where you'll see a mint spritzer of one sort or another, or, some other, a virgin cosmopolitan, which I didn't even think was possible, but I tried one recently and it was divine. So there's plenty of options, doesn't have to be alcohol based. And a lot of people at home, they use things like a soda stream to make their own sparkling water. It's a greener alternative than constantly going out there and buying, 12-pack of soda water or something to that effect. Uses less plastic overall. And then you can add the flavor of your choice quite easily.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much better for the environment than buying all those LaCroix or whatever your soda of choice is. So we have a lot of consumers that really, really take pride in that and building up their coffee bar or their fruit flavored bar, and being able to experiment too and combine flavors and have something different daily.
I love it. Like a watermelon mint combination or something like that. Now,
Right.
What is your favorite recipe to make using your products?
So probably my favorite recipe is, I love dessert. I don't let myself have it. And I love a nice cocktail. So my go-to, probably utilizing the product, and I have a lot of favorites, and probably the margarita is a close number 2, our new lineup. But I love our dark chocolate espresso syrup paired with a little fat-free half and half and some vodka. And that's how I make a nice espresso martini, which also serves as a dessert at the end of the night. And then I'd say my number 2 is, I love our new lineup of margaritas, like you mentioned, our regular margarita, but the spicy margarita, which is somewhere around here, is my favorite, blended with our peach. So the natural peach blended with the spicy is a great spicy peach margarita. And that's my new favorite before dinner cocktail.
Wow.
And then, of course, I love a salted caramel latte. So that'd be 3.
Well, that's beautiful. I imagine you have recipes and resources like that on your site, do you not?
Endless recipes. Yes. Like I said, the products are super versatile. So we have everything from boozy pudding that can be great at Thanksgiving to our new holiday recipes with some of our new holiday flavors, to baking, to waters, to cocktails. So yeah, you name it.
You've just given me an idea. I tend to make chia seed pudding for my boys at home, and I often just flavor it lately with either an almond extract or a vanilla extract. But now I can try a salted caramel or something like that too. I like to use oat milk because one of my sons is dairy sensitive. And so oat milk, chia seeds, maybe a salted caramel.
Oh, that
who
sounds so
knows?
good. You have to send us the recipe. That sounds great.
I'll make sure I have it kid tested and mother approved first. So
Yes.
we'll move through that. Now, one of the challenges of, I think, being in this alcohol space where you're making mixers for alcohol is people get hungover when they really enjoy their drink.
That's true.
So do you have any tried and true solutions in your community that have come up?
We've certainly tested having margaritas with the sugar and without the sugar. That's just an example. Of course, we have many other variations that you can make many cocktails with, but the sugar is really what causes the hangover. So to cut that by about 75% it really does help the hangover. Other than that, drinking water, drinking a little less. And then of course the products are great for mocktails, and then you don't have to worry about having too much sugar or a hangover at all.
You see, mocktails.
So
That was the word I was looking for. I was like, virgin cocktails.
yes, mocktails are, like you said, a huge trend right now. And I've been partaking as well.
And this is one I failed to get the information for this particular company, but at Expo East, I encountered a mocktail liquor company. So they actually had virgin liquors. They were selling a gin replacement, as a for example. Same, basic texture, some of the juniper berry, etc. They had a virgin tequila. I mean, they weren't tequila, obviously, right? They weren't gin or vodka or whatever, but they were making mixers with these liquor replacements that had some of the hints of flavor that you would typically associate with a tequila or a gin. I tried their stuff because I just wanted to have the experience. They were making a spicy margarita as one of the products that they were offering. And it didn't taste the same, but it was definitely really pleasant. And I felt like, heck, if I was just having a little afternoon on a Saturday, I'd love to have something like this poolside. It wouldn't affect my mental capacity. I could still be there and present with my boys and not afraid of what might happen if one of them got dunked in the pool unexpectedly or something along those lines. Right.
Yeah, I've seen some of those companies, and it is very interesting and does pair well with our products and does allow a similar taste profile, by adding the boozeless cocktails. So I'm on board.
Do you have any favorites? I wonder if you could even think of the brand that I might have missed. I forgot their name.
We were stationed right next to somebody at one of the last trade shows that we were at. I believe it was a Summer Fancy Food Show, and the name is escaping me now, but their products were pretty good, and we did serve quite a few cocktails with them, and it might come to me.
All right. So I have a couple of questions that I've selected from my handy dandy interview deck here. So I think this one relates specifically to what you do in this business. What does your typical Friday night look like?
My typical Friday night, well, I have two girls, ages 5 and 8. We typically have a movie night with some popcorn, typically with a little less butter. And I will usually have a skinny cocktail of some sort, and I will make them a mocktail. We've been testing that. We have a new mermaid. Well, it's not new, but it's new to them. A new mermaid flavor we've been experimenting with. And we just have movie night and just chill and relax, and it's fun.
Well, I love that. It's very similar to my evening. I have two boys, aged 5 and 8.
Oh,
wow. By the time Friday night rolls around, I really don't want to do the homework and I want to relax a little bit. So I typically will have a drink, and it might be a cocktail of some sort or just a glass of champagne. And I'll make the boys something. But we like to, for our popcorn, I use an air popper. So it's all, there's no butter or anything like that in there. And then I use some coconut oil and some brewer's yeast, because you mix those two things together on popcorn. It's divine, and there's no saturated fat, really, barely any. It's mostly MCT and some other oils in there as well. So,
wow, I have to try that.
Actually, coconut oil, as long as it's the really kind of clean tasting stuff, doesn't lend too much of a coconut flavor. I get mine packaged in glass, and it's not made from the really super dried copra, which is what they call coconut when it's in that really dried state that you would make grated coconut with or shredded coconut with, right?
I see.
So at an earlier phase, it doesn't have as nutty of a flavor. And then when you add something like brewer's yeast, it tends to lend it almost a buttered flavor, and the kids really like it. So it gives them B vitamins. It's a healthy treat then, and it's not full of, butter or other less sustainable products.
I love it. I'll try it.
All right. Name something as a startup. I think this this affects you, or is a company that's gone through that vast phase, right? Name something on your to-do list that never gets done.
Oh my, I'm one of those that has a never ending to-do list, and I think about it constantly and spend probably more on it than I am doing the things on the list. So, let's see. That never gets done. Probably, wow, there's so many.
Mine is filing.
Yes, that tends to not get done. I've been
You
trying
know,
to clean out my garage for about a year, so I'll go with that one.
yeah. So, I mean, I rely on my downloads folder perhaps too much, and I just know that things are in there and I'll search for it. But like on my computer, that space is quite full. And this is mom life reality. I had
Okay.
my 4-year-old in my office at one point, and he was clicking around on the mouse and he erased my entire download folder.
Oh no. Oh no. That is tragic.
So thankfully, a lot of that work was saved other places and the the cloud, so to speak, because we live in that world today,
Oh,
either backed up on email or somewhere else. But it was tragic.
thank God it was saved in the cloud.
Right, exactly. So I will go ahead now and pivot for a moment since we've had this little fun interlude with the interview cards. I'd like to chat with you about some of the products I encountered at the show, get your thoughts, and also just hear from you as we go through this what changes might actually be coming for this Jordan's Skinny Mixes as we head forward. So we'll start here. I encountered a company that is claiming with their backup product to have the world's first patented alcohol detox system, promoting liver protection, creating cellular energy, and improving cognitive function by just combining NADH, which is a nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, right? So nicotinamide, it's niacin, right? It's a very, very bioavailable niacin, theanine, and DNM, which is dihydromuricillin. And I'm not actually that up to speed with what this DHM is, but I imagine that is one of the primary drivers. And so I don't know if this is something anybody has tried, but I would love to hear from community if they try something like backup and it works for them.
I would too. How do you take it? Do you take the product right after you're done drinking for the night?
It says adults take 1 tablet in the morning, take 1 additional tablet 5 minutes before large alcohol consumption.
Might have to test this out.
So I guess the night before, like when you're starting your first cocktail, just take a pill, and then the morning after.
Well,
So,
I'm intrigued by this one. I'm going to write it down. I mean, there's so many of these products out there, but I have researched a little bit about what would detox the liver, and I'm pretty sure I had read about some of these 3 ingredients, and so maybe
yeah, I'm just not
beneficial.
sure about that DHM. So
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll hear about it from somebody who listens to the show. They'll say, oh, all about it. And I figured this one was actually kind of interesting. One of the challenges we have is my kids really like to drink from straws. I have the 6-pack of, metal straws that I always forget to put into my purse before I go out with them. But I came across this company called Pasta Life, and this is their logo for anyone watching. Just looks like that, Pasta Life. And they had rice straws. They call themselves pasta straws, but it's made with rice, so it's gluten-free. And something else to know about rice. Rice is actually something that's not allergenic, and so people shouldn't be allergic to it. They could literally drink through it. They stay in their existing state for at least an hour, so they don't melt on you or anything like that. And I gave one each to my boys when I returned from the show, and they loved them. They didn't survive much of what they were drinking because they started chewing on them and then ate the straw. But it's better than I think a lot of the other options presently available. And then I also just in this
So
world
interesting.
of beverages, right? You're looking at things like, okay, a coffee that you might have with your salted caramel syrup and whatever dairy that you're into. I recently learned that I'm dairy sensitive, so I shifted my consumption from dairy to oat milk in my coffee. But the challenge I have with that is the oat milk, all of the oat milks on the market, they have added fat that comes from seed oils. So it's an omega-6 and might throw my system off of balance. I work really hard to have my omega-3s and my omega-6s on par for optimal health. And that's something that we also work to educate about from Orlo Nutrition's perspective, because of the fact that they are so rooted in omega-3s from algae, vegan source, fully sustainable, giving you polar lipid forms so you have the most absorption. All of that's great, but if you overconsume omega-6s, you're going to fall out of balance. And I think that this is a culprit in my current reality. So I've been looking to ways to come away from, let's say, these nut milks that might be augmented, or oat milks that are augmented with so much omega-6 seed oil, for something else. So I found Bored Cow. And so Bored Cow, this is their logo I'm putting up for everybody.
Very cute.
They are making animal-free dairy milk. And so they're basically creating the identical proteins to milk, but from fermentation and using bacteria, things like this, right? And so even though I'm dairy sensitive, I'm not lactose intolerant or anything like that. So I took a little sip because I wanted to see what it was like. It had a very similar mouthfeel to something that would be like probably a 2% milk. They didn't seem to have a full fat on their hands, but they also didn't use exclusively seed oil for the fat. So I think it was a better option for somebody who isn't dairy sensitive and who also doesn't want to have cow milk from a cow, let's just say, right? So very, very interested to see what continues to develop in this arena. Their slogan is "Give cows a break," which is really cute.
That's cute.
So for any vegans that can do milk but choose not to, or any people who can do milk and choose not to, I think that could be a great option. They could make things like whatever Starbucks replacement, along with Jordan's skinny syrups.
Absolutely. It's a really cute idea. I'm sure it sounds like that could be super successful. I mean, everybody's looking for a milk alternative and something that tastes like milk, which we're all accustomed to.
Perhaps there are trade show collaborations afoot where you can get positioned next to these people at a show and create some special products.
I love it. So we really like oat milk here. I mean, there's a few that, gravitate towards the coconut or the almond milk, but oat milk just has such a decadent taste. But you're right. I mean, there's typically too much fat, and
it's the inborn use of seed oil. So, I mean, I know that people are educating themselves on this, but one of the things that you'll learn if you overconsume omega-6s is it actually triggers your brain to consume more. And so there's really a good reason to balance your omega-6s to omega-3s if you're also watching your waistline. And so omega-3s actually seem to induce less consumption. It's like your I'm full triggers come in sooner. But if you consume something like a bag of chips, there's good reason behind the fact that you might have a hard time stopping. You just want to eat all the chips, right?
I'm not familiar, and I'm sure other people aren't. I mean, of course, we've all heard of omega-3s, but omega-6s is not a term I'm familiar with.
Yeah. So we get into this in a recent episode with Stuart Tompkins. I interviewed him. He works with CV Sciences and the CBD and cannabidiol space, right? Like, so you're talking about hemp products, with or without THC, but mostly in the CBD place. He and I worked together for many years in the omega-3 realm and dove deep into the research together of the reasons that omega-3s are so beneficial to your health, right? And so what ends up happening if you overconsume omega-6s is you throw your system out of balance, right? And omega-6s are in all the corn oil you consume, all the peanut oil you consume, all the soybean oil you consume, all the canola oil you consume. So if you go to your grocery store and you're doing something as simple as saying, oh, I'm going to eat more salads. I'm going to go ahead and get some beautiful grains, some nice vegetables. I'll have this meal with my low calorie skinny mixer cocktail in the evening, and I'll feel good about what I've done. And yet the salad dressing you got says it's made with olive oil, which you know to be healthy, but it's not actually olive oil in there. They give you a smidge of olive oil and mostly canola oil or soybean oil. And so what happens is you get way more omega-6. Omega-6 causes a slight rise in inflammatory compounds in your system, prostaglandins, leukotrienes, and cytokines, which basically stimulate inflammation in your system. And without enough omega-3s in your system to return to normal, because omega-3s help to develop anti-inflammatory cytokines, prostaglandins, and leukotrienes, which act like hormones and regulate systems in our body, right? So if you don't have these two things in balance, then you get more inflamed. You also get hungrier. Your signals to your brain that you might be full don't occur as readily, and you overconsume. So
Wow.
it's, turning on the triggers to eat more is something we should probably do less of, especially if we're trying to lean our waistlines, right?
Absolutely.
So
I'm going to have to learn more. I'm intrigued.
yeah. Well, I could give you a download anytime, obviously. It's just like something I've read probably too much on, enough to be dangerous for sure.
Mostly concerned about my 5 and 8-year-old, but I'll hit you up on that later.
Get them taking an omega-3 every day. I take our omega-3 from Orlo. The soft gels are tiny. I think I have some right here. Anyway, my 8-year-old, or almost 8-year-old, he's 7 now. He just takes one of the DHA every day, swallows it just fine. No issue, just a little bit of water and it's down the hatch, right? And it's just protective. Gives him at least, about 150 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined, 175, something like that. And so he's protected. He's getting enough to help stimulate his brain, attention and focus, all that jazz. It's really good.
I was doing that and doing the Nordic Naturals that I know you were affiliated with, right? And
yeah, I was second in command there for almost a decade. I've since pivoted exclusively to being in the algae space, and Orlo Nutrition sponsors this podcast. And so if people are curious, they can go there to learn more. But the primary difference between what we're doing with Orlo and something like a fish oil is that our product is in the polar lipid form, which gets right into your tissues. And so it's absorbed readily into the system. Doesn't have to be broken down or go through enzymatic processes at all. And so you are assured to get the benefit much more quickly with a lower dose. And so you can take a small pill and also get the benefit. At the same time, you're getting something that's vegan, that is sustainably grown and cultivated, and that has the benefit of technology working behind it to ensure that all of our production processes are green. We're using green energy. So it's super cool. Anybody who listens to this podcast qualifies for a 10% discount. You just use the coupon code NWC for Nutrition Without Compromise, NWC10 at checkout at orlonutrition.com. I will send you some.
Same goes for skinny mixes. I failed to mention that sooner. So anyone listening to this podcast is eligible for our 20% off of your entire purchase, and the coupon code is Crunch It.
Crunch It. I love that. Okay, I will be sure to include that with show notes as well as on our blog post related to this. Perfect.
Awesome. And I have on my to-do list to look more into Orlo Nutrition. So I'm excited for my children.
I'll send you some to try. Now, there was one more product I wanted to be sure that I connected to from Expo East specifically, because it relates to also working to limit your calories and provide a healthy snack. And that is this Herbaland. They made this product called Snacks with Benefits. It's vegan protein. So you get 8 grams of plant-based protein. And my green screen is changing the color on some of the stuff, but 8 grams of plant-based protein with 16 grams of fiber per serving, which is huge, and only 130 calories. It's gluten-free, non-GMO project verified, and the ingredients that are included weren't completely out of this world. I'll just read them for people because when I posted this on TikTok, people asked for the ingredients. So it includes soluble tapioca fiber, a protein blend with pea protein, brown rice protein, chickpea powder, lentil protein, and then also some prebiotics, including isomalto oligosaccharides, vegetable glycerin, some purified water, and then natural flavors, agar, natural flavors, citric acid, natural annatto color, natural beta carotene color, organic stevia leaf, papaya powder, kale powder, and organic sunflower oil.
Nice.
So overall, nothing crazy in here.
Right.
I'm going to open it just because I want to show you too. When I did open it, I thought one thing initially. They look a little bit like dog treats or cat treats, right? Because they're just a little brown or tan, right? Like not what you're used to from a gummy, but they taste really nice. The texture, unlike other gummies, because there's so much protein in it, is a little grittier, but they're really nice. And I gave them to my kids. Benedict wanted to finish the whole pouch. I thought that would be a bad idea with how much fiber it is for such a little guy.
Right.
So I had to take it back from him. He essentially got about a handful like this size and loved it, and then tried to grab it back from me a little bit later. So if you have children and you're trying to give them a healthier treat, I think that could work. The other thing I really liked about this particular company is that the packaging that they provide is compostable, which is actually surprising because it had this kind of metallic sheen and then another plastic piece inside. So I've been meaning to look into how exactly they did this, because it could be another way to level up even what we're doing at Orlo Nutrition, because they must be food safe. I'm just not sure how long that has to exist for before what the shelf life is on this. This one in particular says expiration of February 2024. So it has to be at least a year, since I got these in September 2022.
Yeah.
So this leads me to really my last question about your brand specifically. So we could round up with Jordan's Skinny Mixes and what's coming next. But I know that you're presently packaged in plastic, and working with glass can be very hard because of how heavy it is. But is there anything that you're working on from an initiative perspective to work to become just a little bit greener, or build into a even more sustainable packaging?
Absolutely. So when you're first starting, it's always challenging because there's always, financial issues when you're starting out. And me specifically, when I started this company, started with a $5,000 loan from my mother and never really borrowed from there. So that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of. But with that comes that packaging and some of the more premium ingredients that you feel strongly about isn't really at your disposal. So we did start with plastic. It was at our disposal. It was easier. We're, aware that there's better options. So yes, we are looking at many other options that are much more green and take up less space in the landfill, and more concentrated variations. But like I mentioned before, it still is a better option than buying, 48 cans of whatever your favorite soda is, or other options. But
Right.
yes, most certainly that's top of mind, and we are cognizant of that, and looking at alternatives while trying to make sure that we offer, options that the consumer can afford and not break the bank.
Wow. So as we prepare to wrap for today's show, I just want to go ahead and say I've appreciated everything that you've shared with us today. I didn't know that one of these bottles was equivalent to 48 cans. Is that what you're coming to then?
Yes, yes. So that particular item, you add a dash to your coffee depending on preference. So
Mm-hmm.
it lasts for quite a while, and so rather than having a ready to drink, or like I said, going through the drive-through, from a sustainability approach, it's actually much better for the environment.
Well, especially if you're just making it a habit of going to Starbucks every day, you get that cup and the plastic top every single time.
Right.
They don't fill it into your personal cups any longer due to COVID, and so we've all seen a movement away from some of us greenies out there. I stopped going out for coffee for that reason, because I didn't want to contribute that extra plastic to the world. And so I definitely appreciate that. Also, the plastics you're using are among the most recyclable. So these will fit in most recyclable bins and ultimately end up in a second or third life from that particular perspective. So,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah.
Should mention it.
Great. All right. Well, are there any thoughts that you'd like to leave us with or any insights having done a quick roundup of some of the brands that I encountered at Expo East or perhaps as a mom, what you might change or integrate?
Mhm. I think all of the brands are super interesting. It's nice to see people really innovating and looking and creating better for you products to make all of our lives a little bit easier. I know you and I are both busy moms, so I guess I'd leave the audience with that. Hopefully, we make life a little bit stressful, and the moms out there can enjoy their cup of coffee or enjoy their nighttime cocktail without calories and without artificial ingredients. And if you haven't tried our products, please give it a try. And like I said, we offer that coupon code, Crunch It. And anyway, I hope you'll give it a try. And please go to your local Target and support a newer startup company that is all female founded and mostly female led, and support a small company out there.
What a great and insightful conversation we've had today with Jordan Engelhardt over at Skinny Mixes. I hope you've enjoyed our roundup and that you're inspired to get into your kitchen and try some of our mixes out. You can find them, as she mentioned, at Target and also on her website at skinnymixes.com. You can use that coupon code CRUNCHIT at checkout to enjoy an exclusive 20% off for our audience. As always, you can always visit orlonutrition.com as well and get an extra 10% off your order with the coupon code NWC10. And that will stack with any existing promotions on the site, including our present holiday bundle, which can get you a whopping 27% off plus free shipping. So if you combined it with that NWC10, you could qualify for as much as 37% off and try both the omega-3 product of your choice and the immunity booster product itself with spirulina. As always, visit orlonutrition.com for our complete blog, including features that you won't find anywhere else, even a couple of recipes from Jordan. If you have questions about what we covered or topics that you'd like us to dive into, please reach out via our social channels at Orlo Nutrition or send me an email directly to hello@orlonutrition.com. As we close today's show, I hope you'll raise a cup of your favorite beverage, coffee, tea, or even one of the Skinny Mixes with me as I say my closing words. Here's to your health.
Thanks for listening to Nutrition Without Compromise. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to learn more, visit orlonutrition.com and join our mailing list. You'll gain access to complete show notes, features, and informative blogs, because nutrition shouldn't be an either-or.